As we prepare to wrap up 2023 and go into 2024, we typically use this time to reflect on the year and reflect on everything we experienced, whether we had new jobs, new relationships, whether they were good or bad, whether the person was kind to us or treated us like crap. And in particular with gamers, we pretty much reflect on all the great games we've had for the year. And I wanted to go over a list of 10 games that came out this year that I not only played but felt were like the best of the best for the year. And I don't have them in any particular ranking from, least greatest to most greatest. I try to keep it more in terms of when they released in order. There might be some, flipping around here and there, but these are just games that I played throughout the year that I felt was amazing, and I wanted to share this list with you guys. So sit back, relax, and let's go into the video. Now, starting off this list is Star Wars Jedi Survivor. I remember when Jedi Fallen Order released, it took me forever to play the game and beat it because I wasn't really interested. It didn't really pull me in, but Jedi Survivor was one of the best games I've played this year. It definitely had a lot to keep me entertained. It kept me engaged and locked in. All the different skills you can unlock, the combat, the exploration, the story. It was just an amazing experience throughout the entirety of the game. And I really do hope that they're going to put more content out for this game, but it looks like they are just focusing on the sequel for this one, for the third game. But this game is amazing, whether or not you're a Star Wars fan, but Star Wars fans are definitely eating good right now. If you haven't played Jedi Survivor, you need to go ahead and play that game and just really give it a shot because it is one of the best games I've played, as well as one of the best Star Wars games ever made, period. You gotta play that game.
Hit me.
Now moving on to the second game of this list, Hogwarts Legacy. Now, I kind of had my joy from this game taken away by some pettiness within, my family. I won't get into it. I never got a chance to really go back to it and complete the game, but I did put maybe 10 or so hours, maybe a little bit more. And I'm a big Harry Potter fan, and it was great to just be able to explore this world without having it be tied to the movies and having, restriction in what they could do. They were kind of, pretty much open to do what they want, and you're not forced to just follow the same story of the movies and the books. And it was a really great time, a very magical experience. There were some issues I had in terms of whether it was some performance or some of the visuals, and then also trying to figure out certain things on the map or how to complete certain objectives, how to do certain things like purchase a new broom, but all minor stuff compared to the overall experience of the game. And just to be able to play as a Slytherin and go to class and do different things and explore the world of Hogwarts, not just the castle, but also Hogsmeade and different towns and areas around where Hogwarts was. I know some people had problems with the area itself. I didn't. I thought it was all amazing, and flying around on a broomstick or a hippogriff, it was just really, really cool, very magical experience, and it was basically a childhood dream come true, being able to explore the Hogwarts universe in this matter, and I cannot wait to see what they can do going forward. I do wish there was some type of multiplayer component. Me and my brothers all got the game, and we were all going to choose different houses, but there was no multiplayer, so there's really no point in us doing that, with the exception of maybe sharing some minor differences between house and house. But it was still a really great magical experience, and I'm happy I got to experience that, as much as I did.
You will pay for your sin.
Next on this list is Resident Evil 4 Remake. Now, I know we had quite a few remakes and remasters in recent years, and I was never a Resident Evil fan. I did play the fourth one back in the day, and I hated it. I really did not like the controls. I haven't been a fan of the franchise from the beginning. The first Resident Evil game that I completed and what got me into the franchise was Resident Evil 7. But when I did play the remake, I knew it was going to be different because it was following a similar format to Resident Evil 2 and 3 remake. It wasn't going to have the clunky controls. It was going to make some things a bit different. And while I still am not a big fan of Resident Evil 4 remake, while I still don't think it's as amazing as people who like it think it is, just based on certain things they did with the story. Not as scary as the previous ones. It is more action based, but I did have a good time with this game. I did put quite a bit of time, more than average time to beat the game, mainly because I was trying to find everything I could, all the unlockables, all the collectibles, trying to get 100% completion. And I do want to try the VR mode for this game, but I did play my file on Xbox and I don't want to restart on PlayStation, nor do I have a PS5 VR2 anyway. But this game was pretty great. It looked amazing. I had some fun and some really funny moments throughout my playthrough, which is all on my YouTube channel if you want to check it out. And I honestly am excited for Resident Evil 5 remake, and if they even decide to remake Revelations or Revelations 2, maybe they'll do the first game again, but in this new type of format like they've been doing with the recent remakes. I do have a friend who wants to play Resident Evil 5 with me, and we were going through it, but I just couldn't stick with it. Just the controls were it was enough for me to not do it. But if they make a 5 remake, which it seems like they already are planning to do that, and if they keep the co-op, I am excited to do that. But Resident Evil 4 remake does have a lot to it, a lot of action, a lot of good moments. The new knife system parrying attacks was great. I've even been able to parry chainsaws and parry enemies who are throwing knives and axes at me, just parrying those attacks, and it was just really fun to be able to do that. And like I said, the controls are much better this time around. Of course, the game looks a lot better this time around. I unfortunately did not play the Ada Wong expansion, but I might get back into it and try it. But Resident Evil 4 remake was definitely a good one for this year.
Christ, I don't think the boat can take another hit like that.
Now this one is probably one of the best games I've played this year, and possibly one of my contenders for the game of the year. I didn't necessarily choose a game of the year for me, but Tears of the Kingdom is definitely up there. I really did not like Breath of the Wild. I had issues with some of the mechanics. I had issues with the weapon system primarily. Aside from that, though, with Tears of the Kingdom, I think for me, what made me enjoy that one more was the story. I think the story was told better. It was a better story. The fact that you had the entirety of the Hyrule map from the previous game, as well as the Depths map underground and the Sky Islands, and all the different things you can find and do, the mechanics to use different devices and fuse them together, creating different weapons, creating different vehicles. You can create robots. There was so much in this game that I just fell in love with the game completely. Even with the $70 price tag, I actually got lucky because GameStop had a promotion where if you traded in like 2 specific games from their list, they would give you $50 trading credit for Tears of the Kingdom. So I only paid like $25, plus I already had the $5 pre-order amount. So I only paid $20 really for Tears of the Kingdom, and it was well worth the money I spent. I would have spent $70 on the game if I didn't have the pre-order, the trade-in bonus. There's really so much you can say about this game. The story kept me on the edge of my seat. I actually put about 200 hours into Tears of the Kingdom. I've never in my life put around 200 hours into a video game, and Tears of the Kingdom was the first one to do so. And I just fell in love with a lot of different things. Even having the armor, the Ganon armor, that was pretty awesome. Getting the Master Sword, figuring out how to get the Master Sword, doing all the crazy shit that this game had. If they do a Switch 2 or a Switch Pro, whatever they're planning, and they make the game look even better, because the game still looked, very Nintendo-ish, right? It's not visually as impressive as other next-gen games, but if they do that and make the game look even better, it's really going to be truly more breathtaking than it already is. And even like my surprise, just actually realizing how big the map is in that game was a moment where I was like, yeah, this game is potentially my game of the year, honestly. And I'm not a Zelda fan at all, so. Now, moving on, Street Fighter 6. I've been a huge Street Fighter guy for a while, and I did a review on this game as well as some of the other games on this list. I did a review of Street Fighter 6. I had my positives and my negatives. I haven't played the game in quite a while now. I kind of stopped after a little while. The story mode for me was the weakest in the game in terms of the story itself. It was very cringy. One of the cringiest things I've ever experienced. And just exploring Metro City was kind of lame. It could have been a bit better. They could have given us more to work with. But the fighting itself, what the game is really there for, it's pretty damn good. I've actually did a few online matches. I've actually won a few, lost quite a few. But I love the fact that there's so much in this game that helps you become a better fighter. You have all the different fighting modes, all the different online modes. You have a lot of training options. You can do your basic training to practice your moves. There's a whole section of learning different moves. They teach you the moves to do, and they challenge you to perform these combos. And if you really take the time and really try to master these, you will be a better fighter. And aside from all that, I think the online was pretty decent. There was some moments where it would take me 10-15 minutes to get into a fight to find an opponent while I'm just sitting there waiting for a fight to come in. So I don't know if the online community was just dead, kind of, or if there was just an issue with servers. But when you get in, you're in. I had maybe one fight where it was glitching a bit too often, and the guy basically won because the lag was so bad I couldn't even play. But that happened only once. Any other time I got my ass kicked, it was because they were a better fighter than I was. And anytime that I kicked their ass is because I was a better fighter than they were. My other big issue was when you do play online in the Battle Hub and you want to do a rematch but use a different character, you kind of can't. You have to basically end the fight and then change your character, and then you got to fight someone else. But aside from that, Street Fighter 6 is an amazing game, an amazing fighting game. And I just can't wait for Akuma to be released in the spring. We're about to hit January, so hopefully we're getting closer and closer. Back-to-back fighting games, Mortal Kombat 1. Mortal Kombat 1 obviously had the better story in terms of the story itself, right? And it was a whole new revise of the whole Mortal Kombat franchise. Characters have new roles, new lifestyles, new designs, new allies, new enemies, and the fighting itself, the fighting is still pretty damn great. I initially was not sold on the fighting with I believe they call them, I forgot they call them, a companion or whatever they call the partner that you have. The cameos. I wasn't a big fan of the cameo system. And after playing the game, I like it a bit more because it does help to add to the strategy of your fight. It does help you kind of choose a specific cameo to kind of benefit you and depending on your character and what combos you want to use. But again, I would have rather had a 2v2 like they did in Mortal Kombat 9. I also didn't really like the fact that some characters who were OG Mortal Kombat characters didn't make it to the main roster, but they're available as a cameo character. They could have at least been referenced in the story or even shown in the story. That would have done them some justice. And of course, the worst part of the game by far is Megan Fox as Natara. Just hire someone else to do the lines and then make an update to remove her. She's by far the worst part of the game. Online had its issues, with trying to get a session to run, trying to keep the servers running. A lot of microtransactions, similar to Street Fighter. Microtransactions, you can buy currency to buy different things, cosmetics. But aside from that, I did enjoy a lot of the game that it had. It even had that conquest mode. That might have been what it's just called, just Conquest. I forgot the name of it officially, but I had fun with it. A lot of people didn't like it. I had a lot of fun with it. I didn't get very deep into it. I think I got maybe 2 or 3 worlds deep, and then I just stopped. I stopped playing, overall. But I actually liked that mode. I thought it was really fun. I didn't try the tower mode, which is odd. I completely forgot tower mode existed in this game. But Mortal Kombat 1 is a great fighting game. I'd say if you have to choose between Mortal Kombat 1 and Street Fighter 6, it's really hard to say which one was better because they both had their strengths and weaknesses. And honestly, if you can get both, just get both. They both have strengths and weaknesses. They both have good things about it, great things about it. They're both great fighting games. So Mortal Kombat 1 was definitely a big one for this year. Now, I am not a big Final Fantasy guy. I actually just started playing, going back to Final Fantasy VII Remake so I can get ready for the sequel. But Final Fantasy 16 did come out this year, and I was nowhere near interested in the game until the demo came out. My friend told me, hey, the demo's out, and the demo was enough for both me and him to buy the game. We are not Final Fantasy gamers. We know nothing about the franchise, the history. We both tried Final Fantasy 12 when it came out, and we both returned it back to GameStop. We didn't like it, but Final Fantasy 16 is great. I know they have a lot of things similar to Devil May Cry. The guy behind the Devil May Cry combat worked on this game. It shows clearly in this game, and I love the graphics, the visuals, the combat, the story so far. Even though I'm not a big Game of Thrones fan, and this game is pretty close to a Game of Thrones type of story, I fell in love with the game, and they just released DLC for the game, or at least one of 2 DLCs they just released. Another one is coming out soon. This game is awesome. It has a lot of cool things, a lot of great boss fights, a lot of awesome kick-ass, badass boss fights. It's a very different thing from the original Final Fantasy games, from what I'm told. Different style, different combat. It's rated M. I think it's the first rated M Final Fantasy game, and it was a lot of fun. And I definitely urge you to check it out because it is a pretty great game to get into. Now, moving on, this is a big one for me. Spider-Man 2. I'm a huge Spider-Man guy. I love Spider-Man. It's my favorite superhero. And I've been waiting for this game for so long. And there's a lot that I can say about the game. There are some things that I wish were in the game and some things that I am waiting for with the New Game Plus update. But, wow. Wow. I heard a lot of people say that they were not going to spend too much time with Miles because of the black suit in the game. But I actually spent a decent amount of time with Miles because I actually cared about Miles' story and what he was trying to accomplish and solve in his story. But of course, the black suit, it was so awesome. It wasn't just a suit. It was powered. You had so many different moves and techniques and things you could do with it. And just the performance, fast traveling is instant. The visuals, it looked great. It sounded great. I had a problem with the random crimes you couldn't stop in the city. They didn't feel as important this time around. They didn't really have, like, you got to solve X number of crimes to get this unlocked, and you have to do this number of crimes to clear out this district in the city. It felt like it took a backseat this time around. And I'm hoping that they do an update to add newer and different crimes to the game, because it kind of felt like last minute and they should have maybe done a little bit more. I know people are a bit upset that they took out some of the costumes from the previous game. They took out a lot of the gadgets from the previous game. The only thing I can say to that is with the costumes, they have to resize and reanimate and rework all the costumes. So rather than spending the time on all the old ones, they wanted to spend the time on the new ones. And there's some really cool new ones here. Really, really awesome. I did a video about all the different suits for each character, so check out the video on my channel. But it's really awesome. All the costumes are awesome. There were some from the last game I wish came back, like the Bombastic Bagman is one of my favorite ones because it's hilarious, and that would have been cool to see, especially with a wingsuit. That would have been cool to see. Like maybe it had like a paper bag wingsuit. That would have been hilarious, especially since the I believe it's the Secret Wars suit. He has the Falcon wings basically, so it would have been cool to see that. I know the game has some glitches and bugs. I only experienced one in my entire playthrough, maybe 2, but I know some people have experienced a lot more, and it's unfortunate, but I think they pretty much patched those out anyway. So Spider-Man 2 was a big hit. It really was.
Also, he could prove something.
Alan Wake 2. I had a rage quit from the Alan Wake Remastered. It's on my channel. I thought Alan Wake Remastered was terrible. I thought it fucking sucked, honestly. Mainly with the controls, and I have a friend that I'm talking with who is trying to go through the game now, and he's telling me the controls. It's the worst part of the game, But Alan Wake 2, I was a bit skeptical, mainly because I didn't like the first one, and I didn't want to pay that much for a digital-only game. I'm a physical collector kind of guy. I have all my games physically right here, but I said, fuck it, let me go in. Alan Wake 2 is probably the best looking game I've played this year. And not even just this year, probably the best looking game I've played of all time. A close second is Horizon Forbidden West, but it's on a different type of scale, basically. Alan Wake 2 was fucking beautiful to look at. It was also very scary. It also had its moments of being frustrating. You know, some moments were a bit frustrating. Some moments felt it was dragging on a bit more. I did try my best to explore everything I could, try to find all the secrets and all the unlockables, and that's what took me a lot longer. I also had issues trying to get the game to cooperate with my OBS. Believe it or not, my OBS kind of shit the bed when I played Alan Wake 2. But oh my god, this game has so much going for it that honestly is a second close for game of the year for me. The music, the score, the controls, the gameplay, the gunplay, the horror. Some moments of the horror were better than others, but it was still just like, it kept me on my toes, and I was on the edge of my seat just freaking out, just trying to get through. And certain things you will see is gonna fuck with your head and really freak you out. Not on the same level as Silent Hill, but it's getting close. But Alan Wake 2, oh my god! And it also had I can't remember the name of the actor right now, but he basically plays the Martian Manhunter on the Supergirl TV show. So that was pretty awesome. You of course have Sam Lake doing the face of Agent Casey, and I can't remember the actor of the guy who does the voice of Agent Casey. He also did the voice of the original Max Payne, but he did recently just pass away this month in December. So it is unfortunate that happened, but I am happy to see that the game was able to come out after all the, efforts they try to make, and how the studio was very grateful to have the game released and win those game awards. Especially Sam Lake, very emotional, very happy for the success of the game. So Alan Wake 2 is a really great game to try if you're into horror games. Even if you're not, it's a great game to try and really try to solve the mystery. There is DLC coming out. I'm waiting for the content to be released. There is some DLC that's planned, so I'm waiting for that to happen.
Girl, she drowned. Your daughter. That's so weird. You don't remember.
How do you know I have a daughter?
Oh, I know what this is. You're blocking out your traumatic memories. Happens on TV all the time.
No. You're mistaking me for someone else. If you say so.
And finally, to end this list is Forza Motorsport. I do like racing sims a lot more now than I used to. I used to be a big arcade racer like Need for Speed and Midnight Club, not so much now. And while I do still prefer, Gran Turismo over Forza, I did have a bit of my issues with Forza at first. After about an hour or so, I finally got to understand the mechanics, and I had to remind myself, even though it's also a simulator, it's not Gran Turismo. They're going to play differently, so I have to play differently. And this game is awesome. I don't have an active Game Pass subscription right now, but I would actually go out and buy the game full price just because of how awesome Forza Motorsport was. Not my best game of the year, just because at the end that means my best game of the year. It is a really great game, and there's a lot of cool things to it, as well as some things that I didn't really agree with. The whole vehicle progression system where you want your car to feel like your car. As you level up, your car will level up. My issue was, by the time I leveled up my car a little bit, I had to go to a new franchise, a new series, and I'm using a completely different car. They made it seem like the car you start with should be the car you stick with for a while, doing different series with the car, but it wasn't the case. They always basically forced me to choose a new car for a new series. So that whole mechanic they try to put behind it, the whole leveling system, was a stupid fucking idea and a complete waste of fucking time, if I'm going to be honest. But aside from that, even though the game had its online issues, I didn't really experience many, but I didn't play online that much. It had its issues with the steering wheel setup for people. I don't have one for the Xbox, so I don't have that issue. The game's still awesome. Visually was amazing. The sound design was amazing. The races was great. The way the cars controlled was great. It was just an all-out amazing racing experience for me. And especially for me, it was a great break from the Horizon games. I kind of got sick and tired of the Horizon games after seeing them back to back, especially with Horizon 5 not being my all-time favorite. It was a nice break from the Horizon games, and Forza Motorsport is definitely worth a try, especially if you have an Xbox. Why not? It's on Game Pass, and you have an Xbox and a Game Pass subscription. It's not going to hurt you to try it. Try it, honestly. But that is my list for the games of 2023 that I enjoyed the most. Let me know in the comments what games you enjoyed the most, and what is your game of the year. Right now, it's close between Tears of the Kingdom and Alan Wake 2 for me, if I'm being honest. I love Spider-Man, but Alan Wake 2 and Tears of the Kingdom is basically tied neck and neck for me. But if I had to choose one, I would say Tears of the Kingdom was game of the year, Alan Wake came in second, Spider-Man came in third. But let me know in the comments what you think about this list, what you think about this game, the games of this year overall, and what games are you excited for in the year of 2024. Let me know, and I'll see you guys next time. Happy New Year's. Peace out.
Sonya!
You were too late, Rauru. You took for granted the godlike power you had in your hands. Do you now see the potential you squandered? As for her, she is merely the first victim of your arrogance. You tried to control me, Rauru, and you will die knowing that you failed.
Get it done!
Prince Sonia needs you!
Ha 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 ha!